And we're live. Welcome back, Shifties. Welcome back to Shift the Journey. I'm your host, Tito Amogus. This is a show where I get to interview people so they can talk about their career journeys. Um, a lot of my guests have been veterans who transitioned into either small business or ministry or the corporate world. And so, if you're out there and you're trying to figure out a way, like a path to your new career, but you don't know how to get there, well, listen in, connect with us. Let's have a chat. So, my guest today for episode number 50 is somebody who I do not remember a day in my life that I did not know this guy. And so we go way back, obviously. And like our parents know each other. I don't know. Did our grandparents know each other? I don't know. Probably.
Probably.
Probably. So really generational friendships. So I want to introduce here Val Torres. Yay.
Hello.
Or as the kids call him, Mr. Awesome.
That's right.
So Val is a music teacher in our hometown, Riverside, California, correct?
Yep.
All righty. Okay, so usually I ask people, hey, so where are you from? Let people know where you're from. But I just gave it away. So yeah, Riverside, California.
Yep.
So growing up, a lot of people don't know. Maybe people do, but a lot of people don't know that we were in a singing group. We were in a singing group from a very, very young age.
Family Singers USA.
That's right. We traveled all over California, singing at different churches. And then we also went to Hawaii and we also went to the Philippines.
Correct.
Yeah, and we were on TV in the Philippines.
Yes. That was awesome.
Yeah. Some of the memories I have are some of the most uncomfortable uniforms with bow ties and ruffles, late 70s, early mid 80s.
Yep. I was going through a box of stuff and I found, remember the maroon polyester bow ties?
Yes.
Bow tie from 19 who knows when.
Yeah, I had one and it wasn't a clip-on. It had like a garter band on it and then it hooked right there.
Yes.
And so so it's like I didn't tie it.
Yep.
But it was on there and it was not a clip-on. So it was probably like one level above.
Yep.
All right. So growing up in Riverside, growing up, in the musical environment that we grew up in, at what point did you say, hey, you know what, I want to do something in music?
Probably maybe 6th grade, junior high age.
Yeah.
I found one of my lolos or grandfathers, for you non-brown people. I found one of his old batons and I just find myself waving my arm to music. So I thought, hey, maybe I want to do that.
Oh, yeah, man. That was young. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time. So I tell people all the time about you and Don. And I was like, man, these guys, you think about anybody who can just pick up any instrument and just play, these guys.
Yep.
And so what instrument did you start playing on?
So we all started with Uncle Nestor on the piano.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned to trumpet in the beginning band. And then he just kept moving me around. So I was trumpet, then baritone, then trombone. And if I had stayed in high school for forever, I'd probably get around to all the instruments.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I forgot that you played trumpet.
Yeah.
Did we play trumpet together?
Probably in the beginning.
That was like for me that was 5th and 6th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then what's funny? I tell people all the time too that like a lot of the people I knew growing up, they were in like different kinds of bands and stuff, right? And people went on to become, rock stars.
Yeah.
Like your cousin, right? Like your cousin. And so where is the point where you go like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be like in a performative setting, or I want to like teach people. What was the difference there for you?
So I think it was right around senior year of high school. I wanted to be like a orchestra conductor.
Yeah.
So my high school job was working at the music department at the university, La Sierra University, and so getting to know people and things. And then the conductor for, I think it was Redland Symphony, he came in one day because his kids went there. So he came in one day, and I just sat down and had a chat with him, and he told me all the hard work you have to do, and you got to know this and this and this. I'm like, maybe I'll go into music education.
Oh, okay.
So because it's really competitive. So I went to music education, still got to took all the conducting classes, and learned a lot more than I was planning on. Not that there's more to do, but just a different kind of shift areas.
Yeah.
I think that was the right call.
Yeah. You know, what you did there was like something that a lot of people don't do, like people who are considering a certain career path, especially nowadays. You know, I have Google, right? I have Google or Chat GPT, right? I can ask it all kinds of questions about the career that I want to go into. But there is something to be said about asking a real person who's like in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, what do I need to do? What kind of things do I need to sacrifice? What does that look? Then you take that home and go, oh, what does that look like for me? Do I really want to do it? So
Yeah,
that's interesting that you did that. That's actually a pretty young age to do something like that.
Yeah, I've always been pretty open to, I'm not sticking to one hard plan and that's it. As long as I got to get up there and conduct, that was.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting there. He was just like this Yoda, just doing all this amazing information. All this can take you there. You can do this, but you got to do this. You got to put in the work. All that. I'm like, not that I was afraid of the work, but I'm like, that's maybe not the path for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and whatever hand of God or whatever, it just said, hey, maybe education.
Yeah. So when we graduated from high school, I was going to say when you graduated from high school. Actually, I was there when we graduated from high school. You went to La Sierra University and you pursued music education.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yep.
Yeah. So what was that like? What was your first impression? Did you go, oh, is this really what I want to do?
So I remember my very first class, or one of my very first classes, was music theory. I'm like, oh, I got this. I know. We did the entrance test. I'm like, what? So I had to take an intro to music theory because knowing how to play something and knowing how it works.
Yeah.
Music theory is how music works. It's
right.
Two totally different worlds. So I was humbled really quickly, and then did pretty well on the intro class, and then take it from there. Yeah. But it was it's kind of like a culture shock.
Yeah.
Like I got it. I've been working here for a year. I worked here all summer. I got it, and then no.
Yeah. I could probably attribute some of that to your age too, though. You're like late teens, and then at that age, we think we have everything handled already.
Yeah.
So, what was your most difficult subject?
For my major was actually theory.
Uh-huh.
For my non-major classes was any like science, math type.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
Like I enjoy them, but once you had to start calculating and things like that, and putting things into formulas.
I've interviewed plenty of people who are in tech careers like me, right? And there are quite a few who actually have some kind of musical background. It's very interesting. One guy, he's a data scientist, and he was a concert violinist at Vanderbilt University in Nashville.
Nice.
And he talked about like the things that are the same about like the tech career and music. And then here you are saying these things do not marry. But then, it's like those of us who are in tech careers, it's like, I think I'm in a tech career because I did not like music theory. I'm like, no, not going to happen.
Well, see, I enjoyed all of that. I was just never good at it.
Yeah.
Like I remember like a acoustic physics of acoustics class. I love that class. You put something down where I had to do a formula, forget it. I'd fail it, but I still enjoyed learning about it.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Interesting. So, as were you at La Sierra? So I left there. I like failed out, right? And then I went to the Philippines, and then I came back. Then shortly after, I joined the Air Force. But did you go like 4 years straight and then graduate?
yeah, 4 years. No, I did. I went my let's see. I went my freshman year, so that was what 92, 93, and then I did a year abroad at Avondale in Australia.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then I came back and finished out. I graduated in 99 with my bachelor's.
Okay. And then what was your like job prospects at that point?
I actually, as soon as I graduated, I started taking courses at the Groundlings, the improv group in LA. So I thought,
Oh,
maybe I'll get back to it, try. Because
yeah.
we used to do plays. For those of you that don't know, we used to do lots of musicals, lots of plays at our school. So I'm like, oh, I'll give this a try. And fun summer, an expensive summer, made a lot of friends, learned a lot of skills, and I'm not a good actor for what I wanted to do.
That's so funny.
But I dipped my toe in the water and checked it out, and I don't regret it. I never got any jobs, but it was fun. It was a learning experience. Learn how to interact with people, because we came from like a little fishbowl.
Oh, yeah.
We were big fish in a tiny little fishbowl.
Yep.
And just going out to LA every day and interacting with these people who are successful in Hollywood. Not that they're famous, but they're successful. They work. They have connections, all that stuff. It taught me a lot. How to
Oh, yeah.
deal with people, how to interact with people that are not in your little circle.
Yeah.
Just really
yeah, I was explaining to somebody the other day about like our hometown, and people are like, "Oh, you're from California." There's a lot of people there. Yes, but we went to this small private school, and a lot of the people that we graduated with, graduated from high school. We were in first grade together, and we were also in daycare together, which was at the university that a bunch of us went to our freshman year.
Our little 2 mile square radius of little Adventist community.
Right. Exactly.
That was the world.
Yeah. And so then you're doing a summer out in LA, really got to socialize with different people from different walks of life. That's interesting. Yeah, I look back on our time, in high school. Some of the musicals, that was like the most fun. Like even practice, like long practices. My very first musical was what was it? Fiddler on the Roof.
Were you playing it in the orchestra?
Yeah, in the orchestra. The most difficult music I've still ever seen to date, because it went from like 5 flats to like 3 sharps to like 2 flats and like 4 sharps.
I was gonna say the most sharps you've ever seen in music at one time, right?
Yeah, all in the span of like a page and a half.
Yeah,
and I was in my second year of playing cello, and so I wasn't even in high school yet.
Yeah,
but Jay was at the academy, and he was playing cello. So then he's like, "Hey, if you could just play one note a measure, it'd be good." And so I practiced one note a measure. Oh, it was so hard. It was so hard.
But you learned so much just freaking out and looking at all those sharps. You learned so much, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so, all right. So, as you were finishing up your time in the theater, were you looking for like places that you could apply to, like teach, or were you looking to go back to school?
Yeah, that time in LA really brought me down. As far as like, I could do that. Let's it's good to have goals and dreams, but let's be realistic, take the steps. And that kind of brought me down to step 1 again. And I was trained to teach. So I started applying for jobs in our schools, in our Adventist schools. And let's see, 99. I started at part-time at the Ellen G. White Memorial.
Oh yeah.
They have a school attached to the church, I think. Well, I taught there, but it's attached to the church. And then after that, I started, let's see, that's 2000. So then I went to Monterey Bay Academy after that for a year. Then my journey across all of California and one stint in Chicago.
Wait, what were you doing in Chicago?
I taught at Hinsdale for a year.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't even remember that. How was that winter?
You know what? Andrea and I were just talking about it. Andrea is my wife, for those that don't know. We were just talking about it the other day. It was magical. It was a magical winter, snow it was gorgeous, freaking freezing. Because she'd come out to visit me and, it's so beautiful. There's an outdoor mall called Oak Grove Mall, and we'd walk around. Oh, the snow is falling, catching on our tongues. All the romantic.
Yeah.
And then we'd get back to my apartment. Freaking freezing. I remember there was like a week or two stretch of 50 below. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I
had a friend that went to University of Michigan for music conservatory. Yeah. And she said that one day it was like at 32 degrees and everyone's out in shorts and t-shirts. I'm like, you're crazy. And then when that happened, after a week of 50 below, and it was 32.
Yep.
I went out in shorts and t-shirt.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. I mean, I lived in Eastern Washington. My first base.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was in right outside Spokane. Yeah. And I worked outside and I was wearing like insulated coveralls, and then the sun came out and I was like, we were like peeling off layers. It was so crazy.
It's funny how you adapt to
Yeah, it was because I mean that day I think like the high was 33.
Yeah.
But after like weeks on end of in the teens and 20s, and then it like shot up to 33. I was like, this is like unbearably hot.
And here's the funny thing. That's the day there was a snow day when it was 32 and way warmer than it had been the past week.
That's hilarious. So did you think, oh man, this is crazy, I need to go home? Or was it just like, oh yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I feel like trial and error is the best way to go.
That really is sometimes the most expensive, but the best way to learn is just do it.
Yeah.
You learn from mistakes.
Oh my gosh.
So I came home and then just traveled up and down California teaching jobs, and then.
Yeah, I remember we stopped in California. Let's see, when was that? It was 2005. So it was John Jay's wedding.
Yeah.
So, like
you in the house, right?
Yes. So that's why I was thinking. You guys live in Santa Cruz?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember it being 2005 because that was the day of the wedding. Angela was watching the Weather Channel because that was the day that Hurricane Katrina hit the coast down here, right? Like wiped everything out. And so, but 2005, and then we were just gonna go drive down. I don't know, we were gonna meet some friends or whatever, and we ended up, staying with the Fobs, and I'm like, hey, do you have room? You're like, yeah.
What? It was like
stayed there.
10 of you, 15 of you stayed in our little house.
Yeah. I remember running around your school there.
Yeah.
With, causing a ruckus.
Yep.
So I remember looking, just keeping in touch on social media and then seeing that you were going back to school, but it was not for music.
Right.
Do I remember what was happening here? I don't even remember what year it was, but I remember that you went back to school for something other than music.
Yeah. So 2008, I think it was somewhere around there. I just kept getting budget cuts. So, arts is always the first thing to go. Yeah. So I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So worked a couple summers at the campgrounds in SoCal. So those of you that don't know, our church does camp meetings every every summer. Each area does their own camp meeting. So I worked at our particular campground, and I got into nursing school. Funny story. I was, I wanted to take a break from teaching. Didn't want to give it up totally, but I needed to take a break. I was burnt out.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And I was really wanting to do X-ray tech. So I'm applying to all these programs online, and as soon as I hit submit, I like almost literally hear this voice. You mean nursing school? I'm like, no, X-ray tech. Do another one. You mean nursing school? No. So, all right, fine. I applied to RCC, Riverside Community College. They have like a compacted program, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fitting 2 years into one, that kind of thing. I'm like, I'm never going to get it. It's too competitive. And a classmate of mine that was in band at Los University with me, he was the head of enrollment.
Oh.
So like, I didn't directly say, hey, can you, I just knew he was, so maybe he'd see my name, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, you'll have to enter the lottery to see if a spot opens up.
Mm-hmm.
Spot opened up right away. So I did that I did that program. I was a LVN for about 2-3 years.
What? That's so crazy. So like when you're going through your nursing school, did you ever think, oh, you know what, I want to go back to music? Or were you like, oh, this is the path that I'm on, we're gonna ride it out and see what's going on?
That's basically it. It was, well, God got me into nursing school and not X-ray.
Yeah.
All these things had to happen, and they happened right away.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. I put all my energy into. I've never studied so hard. But yeah, I did that year. Got my license. Started working for Loma Linda University of Health.
Wow.
Right before they changed the name. So I was basically home health, traveled around, and did that for a couple of years. Said, oh, maybe I want to transfer. So I'm like trying to transfer into the hospital, trying to transfer to the children's hospital, trying to transfer to another department. Nothing. And then a friend of ours called at Glendale Academy. I said, hey, we need a part-time music teacher. Are you interested? I'm like, dip my toe back in the water and loved it. Like fell in love with teaching again. And all the stuff that burned me out was just gone, or I knew, or figured out how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then the band director at Los University, he called me up. Hey, you want to do a conducting program? Sure. Then another person said, hey, you want to do your master's? Sure.
Oh, wow.
So
oh my gosh.
all these things just kind of compiled together.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it's stuff I had thought of. I'm like, kind of saw the nursing thing out. It's nice. I don't think it's what I meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was ready to stick it out until I could find my way back into whatever it is I was called to do.
Yeah, I really feel like our lives are like that anyway, right? How we're doing something for a season, and then God redirects us, and then
totally. It was totally
we're each created to do something different, but that doesn't mean that you're going to do that for the entirety of your life.
And I needed to do that at that time.
Yeah,
that was what I needed.
Was your mom a nurse?
Yeah.
And then your dad was an X-ray tech?
Lab tech.
Oh, lab tech.
He worked with your mom.
That's right. Fail.
Yeah.
Fail. I was like, wait, no. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Who was it? It was Uncle Abner and Uncle Mondo that were the X-ray techs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, fail.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say your mom was a nurse too. Yeah. Oh
no.
Your mom was in the same lab.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. My mom was the big boss lady.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Man, you know what I think about when I think about like the lab? I think about not about the lab itself so much, but the fact that my mom was like over the lab. And then every time we had sales at school, we'd sell lumpia and pancit. Yeah. And she would tell people I don't even know how that would work in today's like climate, but she's like, me and the rest of these Filipino ladies are going to be out for the rest of the afternoon, but and then we go to the cafeteria and they're in the back rolling lumpia.
Yeah.
Like thousands of lumpia.
Yeah.
Craziest thing.
Then we'd have to put in our time so we could earn the money for band tour.
Right. That's right. Yeah. We recently had some people over from our church who had never had lumpia before.
Ooh.
And yeah, we did lumpia in Shanghai. And they're like, I don't know, what is this? It's like a spring roll. And it's like, yeah, just try it. And then we used we had some like sweet chili sauce, but Angela really likes sausawan, so she did the soy sauce and the vinegar and some garlic, and they ate it up, man. Ate it up like it was going out of style. And I was like, things don't change, man, because when we used to have basketball games and we would sell lumpia and pancit, be sold out.
Yep.
Sold out.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell people all the time because they're like, oh yeah, we had to sell candy bars. I was like, oh, we sold candy bars too. And they're like, oh, we had to sell, whatever. They do not condiments, the concessions at like football games or whatever. I'm like, we didn't have a football team. We had a basketball team and a volleyball team. And our cafeteria was part of the building of the gym, like adjacent to the gym. And we sell out. You're cooking lumpia and pancit, and people can smell it while they're watching a basketball game.
And then you just
game over.
Come on in.
Yeah, game over.
No, man. Bars, I'd bring home the candy bars. I'd get hungry. I'd eat one. I'm like, okay, I'll put the money in. I eat the whole box. My dad had to buy the box for us.
I couldn't do that because I'm allergic to chocolate. I'll eat one and then be all itchy. Right. And it's like, oh my gosh. All right. So like after you got back into teaching and then you went back to school for your master's, what's the difference there between having a bachelor's in teaching versus like getting a master's?
So easy answer is master's is more money, at least in public system.
Yeah.
But personally, self-fulfilling, whatever you want to call it, I wasn't ready for college before. I should have taken a gap year, something, worked or something. I wasn't ready. Doing a master's is more fulfilling, you're focused more. I had a family. Well, still do. My kids were super young, so the focus is a little more different. So you try harder, not because you want to get all the A's and stuff, but you try harder and you focus more for a different reason. The goal is the same, but the reason is different. You want to do your best. You want to get that degree. But there's more at stake, at least in my mind. There's more at stake. But there are still struggles. It was a 2-year program that I took 4 years to finish. Mm-hmm. And had another couple years to finish, finally getting my teaching credential, just because there were just, so many issues. And it's mostly right here. Issues. Yeah. But yeah, the focus is different. And I guess the focus is more mature. It's not just I'm getting a degree to get ahead in life. It's I'm getting a degree to help provide for my family.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. My experience echoes that too. I should have taken a gap year. I kind of did. I wasn't supposed to. Like I went to the Philippines and I was supposed to be in school, but I ended up taking a gap year. And then I came home and I was supposed to be going back to school. And then I was like, no.
Yeah.
So
well, you met my daughter when you were out here.
Yeah.
Whenever that was a few months ago. And she decided she wants to take a gap year. And we're like, maybe 10, 15 years ago, if that happened, no, you got to go to school. But now, take it. Explore the world. Yeah. Find yourself, all those terms. But it's true.
Yeah, I think, there's some cultural considerations.
Yeah.
And like last week, John Jay and I talked about cultural considerations because, Well, he's my first cousin.
Yeah,
And so we were like talking about like family stuff and like expectations, cultural expectations, the expectation of our environment. One of the things about our environment, growing up where we did, everybody was expected to go to school. You go to school after you graduate
yeah,
from high school.
yeah.
You go enroll, and whether it's like RCC or LSU or any of the or La Sierra University, not Louisiana State University. I'm actually like 3 hours from LSU,
Oh, nice.
so if I
You,
say that, you say LSU down here, everybody thinks you're talking about LSU down
we
here.
got like a cease and desist or got sued or something to not use LSU from.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It's very confusing,
Yep.
very confusing. But yeah, the expectation, like not just environmental expectations for where we were, but like cultural expectations.
Totally.
Coming from first generation. We're first generation Americans, and trying to live up to these expectations. So yeah, take a gap year, do it. That
Totally.
works.
Yeah.
I'm envious. If I was gonna take a gap year on purpose, not like I did, it was not on purpose. Maybe I would have gone to Cyprus. I don't know. So yeah, but yeah, I completely echo what you're saying about when you went to school, when you went back to school, and what it was for. Because I went back to school originally in like, I think it was 2007 or 2008. I don't know. It was early early mid 2000s, and I was just kind of floundering. But um I almost I was like thinking about retiring early from the Air Force in 2014. So that was like I was 19 years in, right?
Right.
And or like 18 and a half years in. And I was thinking about taking an early retirement. And then I was like, oh, I don't have my bachelor's degree yet. And so I went and I found a program that would get me that, so that I would graduate and retire around the same time. I ended up getting my bachelor's when I was 40. And so it was like the month before I retired from the Air Force. 20 years in the Air Force and like 20 years in school. And then finally, I finally got it. But like the difference was like I had to give up a lot of family time. And we tell the kids, yeah, I'm doing this to, help us to have more opportunities so I take care of you
Yep.
guys. And then when I went back and got my master's, it was a little bit different because they're all grown up.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it was a 3-year program, Masters of Science in Data Analytics, 3-year program. I started in 2015, and I finished in 2021. So yeah,
Yeah.
6 years for a 3-year program. That's real life, man. That is real
Yeah.
life. Working full time too. So
Well, so I know Andrew's listening, so hopefully you don't get mad for me telling the story.
Uh-oh.
But Andrea went back to get her bachelor's too. She
Mhm.
did it it's a program La Sierra does specifically for working people. But there was no way of scheduling it any other way. She was gone. And this is when our kids were a little bit younger. She was gone 3 nights in a row, classes from 6 to 10.
Ooh.
And I don't, unless you're in it, I don't know how people or how to help people understand how much of a sacrifice you're making for the betterment of your family a little bit down the line.
Yeah.
And she came home one night and our son was just mad. Just, why are you doing this? I can't remember what he said, but something like along the lines of, oh, I hate you for doing this because you're not home at night. And our thing is she gets home from work, we have dinner and, family time. And so 3 nights straight out of the week, 6 to 10, she was in class. It was tough on her. It was tough on us. And yeah, it's a sacrifice, but we're starting to see it pay off. It was so tough during, but now it's paying off. So
yeah, man.
so if anyone out there's listening, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Get through it and it'll pay off in the end.
Definitely. So you were working as you were pursuing your master's. Was there any time where you're like, you know what, I think a certain grade level would be like my favorite thing. What was
So
your thought
my
beyond that?
I was actually lucky enough to get a loan that covered our rent because we lived in student housing, and then I did some student teaching. I wasn't like getting paid to work. I was doing student teaching, doing field work, and all that stuff.
Ooh.
But so I always said my favorite was high school because they're more advanced. We can do more advanced stuff. But Andrea said, "No, no, you're great with middle school." Because for whatever reason, I hated middle school, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, and I hated it. I hated teaching it, but for whatever reason, I connected the best with them. And so here now I am with a full-time job in the school district, great job, and I'm teaching elementary kids.
That's hilarious.
But to answer your question, I'm comfortable with all grades.
Yeah.
I used to say my favorite is high school. And like I said, I connected best with middle school. But I think where I work best is where I am at that moment. Because I'm there for a purpose.
Yeah.
And I have the ability to connect with each age group.
Yeah. So how did you get the nickname Mr. Awesome?
I told them to call me that, and it's
oh my gosh! I thought we were gonna get a good story.
That's the story. I was just joking around. I'm Mr. Torres. He called me Mr. Awesome. And
oh no!
They just kept calling me that. So
okay, hey, all right. I mean, that's like that's so on brand for a Gen Xer because one of the things that we tend to say is like awesome. So I don't even know if kids say that anymore. They have so many different words for things that we had.
Yeah, I don't know.
But oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, so name yourself, hey, huh? Wow.
You can call me Mr. Awesome, and just joking around.
Yeah.
Mr. Awesome. Across the campus, I'm Mr. Awesome.
That really is awesome. Though.
Some of them
really is awesome.
Some of them didn't even know my real name.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Little did they know they were saying, "Hey, Mr. Awesome" to the King of Siam.
That's right.
Look at that.
Bow down. I should show
down. So through all of your journeys and stuff, what has been the most fulfilling things about, like, if you could roll it all up, what's been the most fulfilling things about what you do or what you have done in the past?
So currently, the most fulfilling thing of what I do is that when I see kids like out in the grocery store and their faces light up, that's the best. Any teacher will tell you that's the best. In teaching setting, it's just when that light bulb goes off and you're the one that helped them figure that out. Because I'm one of those teachers, I don't like to tell you the answer. I tell you how to figure out the answer.
Yeah.
The journey to it, I've never been one to happily see things through to the end. I'll do it, but this time through is just the pride of going through the tough things and seeing it through and now seeing the results of it. Mm-hmm. When even just a year or two ago, I'm like, oh, it's never going to end. Especially my credential stuff. It's never going to end. Because in California, the credentialing process for teachers is just so, for me, horrific. Mm-hmm. I had to go to therapy for it, all that stuff. So it's just, they're even putting a bill to end the way they do credentialing and just make it a little bit less mentally stressful. But anyway, but yeah, to see that through and to be done and start to see the rewards, that's the thing I'm most proud of, that I could finally do that.
Mm-hmm. So, there's always a lot of talk of how, when people are thinking about different career paths, specifically talking about like high schoolers, as they're coming through, or like young college kids. And I remember when I told my dad I wanted to be a teacher, and he said, "No, you won't make any money." And so we know that, like, teachers don't typically make a lot of money unless you're like, I don't know, probably like a professor or something at the really high level university.
Tenure, 4 letters after your name, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so for somebody who's thinking about becoming a teacher, whether it's music or history or whatever, what is one bit of advice you could give them, advice or encouragement, whatever it is?
This term gets so overused, but it's true. What's your why? Why are you doing it? Why don't want to be a teacher? Because if it's for the money, then you don't want to be a teacher.
Right.
I'm lucky enough to work in a well-paying district. It's not like I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we're comfortable. Working with kids, especially a young teacher, working with kids, it can be difficult. But as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, I think that just goes for anything. There's going to be tough times in any gig. But as long as you're enjoying it and learning from it, and again, speaking just from my experience, it doesn't have to follow exactly A, B, C, because almost always it's going to go A, B, C, 14, then purple, and then yeah, flexibility, I guess, is the most. And if you find that you've been wanting to be a teacher all your life since you were a little kid, and then you get in it and you find it's not for you, that's okay. I think a lot of people, they end up in maybe a career path and they find out it's not for them, and I don't know, it just brings them down. They've never come up with any options other than that. It's okay if you find out that that's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, the title of your podcast, this is the journey to get there. And you just learn so much about yourself and people and life, getting to your goal, what you thought may have been your goal. And boom, you get there. Oh, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And just changing that mindset to, okay, well, now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I've heard of people doing 2, 3, 4 different careers, and not just jobs, but careers, until they finally discovered what they're meant to be doing.
Yeah. I need to say that my dad was one of those people.
Mm.
And then, hey, I was in the military for 20 years. People thought, oh yeah, you're going to do that when you get out? Absolutely not. No, I don't want to work on airplanes for the rest of my life. Not that it's a bad thing. You can make really good money working on airplanes. And if you really like that hands-on work, do it. But man, I wanted a corporate job, and I got a corporate job. 10 years. I'm 10 years into my new career, and it's been very different from working on airplanes or working on missiles. Yeah, man, that's good. Yeah. You always have to know your why. Even if you're in a field that you like want to be in and you don't want to make any changes, you still have to know your why, because like what gets you out of bed? Why answering your why gets you out of bed.
And there's still days I'm like, do I have to go to work today? I love my job.
Yeah.
And there's days I hate my job. So it's just kind of looking past the right here and what's your end goal.
Yeah. Hey, so as a music teacher, what types of instruments would you say are your like bread and butter? What, like, groups, or I don't know, maybe just like individual instruments?
So I majored on the trombone. That was my instrument.
Greg Hergert says hello, by the way.
Hey, Greg. Good old Greg.
It's a joke.
You still have that thing?
Oh man, Greg. I actually gave him to Angela's best friend. Her kid was learning,
Okay.
and so Greg has a new home. It's yeah,
That kid's the new Greg Hergert.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, trombone, brass, trumpet, French horn, all that stuff. I'm pretty good at. But music education, you have to learn at least the basics of everything, so you can at least get kids started on stuff before you send them off to a teacher for that particular instrument. As far as groups, just groups doesn't matter for me. It's just playing, performing.
Yeah.
And we were talking about rehearsal a while ago, and actually, for me, rehearsal is more fulfilling than performance. Rehearsal,
Really?
collaboration, just minds working together. That's my favorite. I got invited to play. One of my friends from church, he wanted to experiment with praise time, so he started writing some ska stuff, like arranging ska stuff for praise.
Wow,
man, that was fun.
Yeah,
we spent hours late into the night and just collaborating, just saying, "Is this going to work? Is this going to work?" And that was the most fun.
Oh yeah, I think about that, and really, some of the most fun times I had were like jam sessions.
Yeah,
just people just getting around and like playing our instruments together, and oh yeah, your solo time. Oh, somebody else's solo time, or you missed it. Well, I don't know if you like really missed, but when everybody was out in Tennessee in January for my dad's memorial service, right? Yeah. And we were sitting in the living room talking and stuff, and then your brother comes over there and he talks about how he was like learning how to play some songs on the piano, right? Learning. Then he starts with "Hold the Line." I'm like, get out of here. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And my voice was hoarse after, like, because we were screaming "Living on a Prayer" that night too. And like that whole night,
I bet you that was fun hanging out.
Oh yeah. Because then there's not really any expectations. You're just like jamming and having fun. Yeah,
totally,
definitely. Which reminds me, man, y'all need to come out to Mississippi.
Oh, we did.
And we get together and play some music. Some of my favorite times in high school were not just the musicals, but also playing trombone with you. I remember Uncle Nestor would be like, "Okay, I wrote this part for you guys." We did. We had like a duet for. It was. Oh man, it's like in my brain, like how it goes, but it was like how he arranged like His Eyes on the Sparrow, and then we also stood up and played part on the Munsters theme.
Oh, I think I remember that. I think I remember that.
Yeah. And oh man, fun times.
Yeah, that's just my favorite. Just jamming, collaborating, having fun.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's been a pleasure having you on. We're almost at 50 minutes on my 50th episode.
Dang.
In my 50 years of existence. Look at this. With Mr. Awesome.
Right.
And
on the road. Just say him.
Yeah. So, it's been great hearing about your career journey and things that, the advice for everybody about, like, why are you doing it? That's like, it's a question, but it's a good question. That is a really good question.
Well, okay. And, so you told me don't really think too much about what you're going to say. Just let it flow. But I did come up with a little acronym.
Okay. Do it.
Specifically for, you asked about young teachers.
Yeah.
So here's my little acronym. You got to be a hack. HAK. Because humility. because I've been humbled by my students. They will find any weakness and get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of fighting it, just be humble. I'm like, you got me. Be authentic. So I am addicted to social media. And on TikTok, there's a ton of teachers out there. Oh, I do this. And while some of those may be helpful, just be authentic. Be your authentic self. If those things apply to you, awesome. But don't try to be someone you're not just to impress students, faculty, administration. They hired you for you, not for who you're pretending to be.
Oh, that's good.
And then my main mission in teaching is kindness. Just be kind. Students might come in angry, whatever, talking back, and something's going on. It's not necessarily they're a mean person. They're just something's going on. Be kind. Find how you can help that person. So be a hack. Be humble. Humility. What was that?
Authenticity.
Authenticity. See, that's my authentic self. I forget things, even though I made it up. And just be kind.
Cool. I put that in the chat. Be a hack. Humility, authenticity, and kindness.
Yeah.
Man, that's actually really good. That's really good life advice.
Yeah.
Like overall.
If I had learned that myself when I first started teaching, or even when I first started in nursing, it would have gone a long way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to end the episode here, but man, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on here at a weird time for you because you're in California. But yeah, thanks for coming on and talking about your journey.
Yeah.
And laughing with me and making me laugh. It was hilarious.
I'll tell Greg Hergert hi.
Yeah, I will. I will. He's been in my life since I was a sophomore in high school. Isn't that crazy? But everybody else, thanks for joining us. I'm going to take the next Monday off, but 2 weeks from today, we're going to have somebody on who is one of the people who started out in a field not related to tech, and now she's in tech. Her name is Kelly Adams. She has a pretty big following on LinkedIn. So I don't know her. I only know her through networking. So that's going to be fun. Right. Cool. Yeah, it's going to be funny. It's always a good time when I get to meet somebody for the first time and then talk to them about their career. So
that's awesome.
All right. You guys have a good week. Right. Have a good couple weeks. Val, don't go anywhere. Stay in the studio. I'm going to talk to you there. But everybody else, peace.